called you all together because we are filing a lawsuit on behalf of radio personality Qri Montague, who was not only placed in handcuffs, but while she was in handcuffs, she was tased by former Atlanta Police Department officer Gardner. And we believe that this was, without question, a violation of her civil rights. And so it's our duty to pursue a claim on her behalf. We have filed in the United States Northern District of Georgia our lawsuit, and we intend on proceeding with prosecuting this case to the fullest and ensuring that justice is served for Qri, for her family, and for what she experienced. I'd like to call up Attorney Harold Spence, my law partner, who will be leading this litigation. Attorney Spence.
Thank you, Attorney Davis. Back in October of 2018, Qri Montague was stopped by a City of Atlanta police officer. What should have been a routine traffic stop, because he asserted that he saw her commit a moving violation, should have ended with a citation being issued and Ms. Montague going on her way. That didn't happen. Minutes after she was stopped by the officer, after she fully complied with his instructions to stop her vehicle, she ended up in handcuffs. Minutes after that, while still in handcuffs, she was tased. This is the kind of abuse of police authority that should not be tolerated and cannot be tolerated. Citizens having encounters with police should not result in citizens being abused and injured, as occurred here with Ms. Montague. Why would this officer stop her for a traffic citation and end up handcuffing her and tasing her? Well, he told his superiors essentially that his sensibilities were offended and she didn't show due deference for his authority. Hardly a reason to arrest a citizen who has done nothing but commit a traffic offense. It shouldn't have happened, and we want to make sure that it doesn't happen to another citizen. That's why we're bringing this lawsuit. Ms. Montague understands that this lawsuit is not merely a vindication of her rights, but a vindication of the rights of each and every citizen who should be able to rely on the professionalism, civility, and humanity of police officers in encounters with police officers. And it's interesting, one last thing, is that every police officer, including Officer Gardner, who is now a former City of Atlanta police officer, signs a law enforcement code of ethics. It says he'll never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudice, political beliefs, aspirations, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without fear or favor. Had he lived up to the code of ethics that he signed, we wouldn't be here today. But because he failed to, we are here. Importantly, after he failed Ms. Montague out there on a roadway at 11 o'clock one dark October night, when called before his superiors, did he tell the truth about what happened? No, he didn't. We know now that he failed to turn on his body camera. He lied and said that it didn't work. We know that he told the police authorities that he did not tase Ms. Montague. Well, those tasers can be downloaded and they can determine objectively whether or not he used the taser that night. It was objectively determined that he did. He lied about that as well. Ms. Montague, we're sorry that this happened to you, but this is why we have courts and juries. to vindicate the rights of citizens, and we're honored to represent you in seeking to vindicate your rights in this instance.
Thank you, Attorney Spence. Ms. Montague will make a very brief statement, but I think it's very important to understand she is supported and has been supported by her family. Her mother, her grandmother are present today and have been with her throughout this entire process. But this is a young lady who went to Georgia State, graduated, who is on Atlanta radio, who is an ambassador for this city, who promotes the city at every chance and every turn that she gets, who's proud to live here, to be a part of the fabric of the city of Atlanta, and to have this happen to someone who works. She's a young person who works with other young people, organizes with them, and to have this happen to her, again, is a real affront to all young people. If someone of her stature, with the level of exposure that she has and influence that she has and the goodwill that she exudes through reaching out and connecting with other young people, if this can happen to her, then it can happen to anyone. And that's why we believe this is so significant and why it's important for us to proceed. A brief statement with everyone.
Thank you all for being here. Like Attorney Miley said, I'm definitely ready to go ahead and proceed with the next steps. I'm thankful that we're able to move or make an effort in moving forward, and I want this to not happen to anyone else, especially being from Atlanta. This shouldn't happen, and I don't want it to happen again, ever, anywhere.
Thank you. Any questions for myself or Attorney Spence?
The first question, Dennis Brown, Hip Hop Inquirer. When the officer turned off his body cam, was there a dash cam running at some point on the vehicle?
We're not aware of any dash cam. The officer told his superiors during his administrative interview that he attempted to turn on his body cam, but that it was buffering. Now, we know with the city of Atlanta that when you turn your taser on, that it's connected to the camera so that it should also turn the body camera on. But it appears that his taser didn't have sufficient electrical charge in it to activate the body cam. So he failed to have his taser sufficiently charged, and it was determined that the body camera actually did work, and he simply failed to turn it on.
You said he's a former Atlanta police officer. Was he fired, or did he go on to another department?
Well, he wasn't fired. It was rather interesting. When an incident like this happens and police officers are being investigated, they must consent to an interview in an administrative kind of proceeding to determine what happened. So during this administrative interview with the Office of Professional Standards, he was asking questions. And when it was demonstrated, because they had downloaded his taser by then, that he was not telling the truth about not having deployed the taser, because they knew by then that it had actually been deployed while he was in Ms. Montague's presence. He simply said, "I'm not going to answer any more questions." And they told him, are you saying that you're resigning? His answer was yes. Yes, I'm resigning. And the next day, he tendered a written resignation. 2 days later, he attempted to rescind that resignation, saying that he had tendered it under duress and intimidation. But he was officially separated from the City of Atlanta Police Department as of October 17, 2018.
And we want to make clear, even the offense, the charge, the moving violation that Ms. Montague was charged with, that case was dismissed. We represented her in that matter, and that case was dismissed. We, again, are encouraging, not only do we believe that this is a civil rights violation, we believe that he violated criminal statutes in tasing her while handcuffed, and that he should be criminally prosecuted. And so we have been in communication with the District Attorney's Office of Fulton County. It is our hope and belief that this officer or former officer should be criminally prosecuted for his behavior. We have to send a message that this kind of conduct is criminal, is unwarranted, and will not be tolerated by the citizens of Atlanta, Georgia, and across the country. We have to move to a place where officers are prosecuted and convicted for their wrongdoings in order to restore any faith in the system that we see has unfortunately failed many African American motorists and citizens in the past and continues to across the country.
I don't know if your client can speak to this. What went through your mind the night that this happened, and can you describe what went through your mind when this happened? You know, when you were obviously, you know, going through this ordeal.
At this time, Ms. Montague is really not in a position to answer any further questions because the suit has been filed. Obviously, for her, she was terrified about what was going to happen. We all know of so many incidents where a person has a police encounter and they do not survive it. She was on a dark road that night with an officer who was clearly operating out of an abuse of power, and so she was, quite frankly, terrified about what could and would happen. Fortunately, she survived it. Unfortunately, the concerns that she had were in fact validated by his misconduct and his abuse of power and his violation of her civil rights.